Coming up on this edition of NewsTeam Boulder, a look into the distribution of vaccines, a rocket launch propelling 4 people into space, and a new green jacket recipient. All that and more coming up next.
From the Roser Atlas Center and the College of Media, Communication, and Information, this is NewsTeam Boulder.
Hello and welcome to our last edition of NewsTeam Boulder for the semester. We will make sure to make it an extra special one for you. We continue to reach record-breaking COVID-19 milestones all around the world, and Boulder is no exception. Just last week in the county, we saw the greatest number of new daily cases. NewsTeam's Vinay Simlot will tell us more. Thanks, Vinay. I'll remember to get my test before I hit the road. After the election was called for Joe Biden, President Trump still refuses to concede. Trump maintains the claims that the election was rigged. In the meantime, the White House is preventing the formal presidential transition process, and as a result, President-elect Biden does not have access to top-level intelligence briefings. It also makes it difficult for the Biden transition team to implement its COVID-19 response plan. Meanwhile, coronavirus cases in the United States continue to soar. Yesterday, the nation recorded more than 166,000 new daily cases and another high of over 73,000 hospitalizations. Biden is raising his voice, saying it's critical for the incoming administration to start its transition. President-elect Biden also urges Congress to pass a coronavirus relief package, including funding for state and local governments. Now, breaking news about a new vaccine for COVID-19. Moderna says its coronavirus vaccine is nearly 95% effective. The company released its early clinical trial data on Monday morning, and Moderna plans to seek FDA authorization for the immunization after more safety data is gathered later this month. Of the 15,000 participants who received the vaccine, only 5 contracted COVID-19 and none became seriously ill. It's the second vaccine in the United States to have a stunningly high success rate. Last week, Pfizer announced that early data shows its vaccine is more than 90% effective against the virus. The nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says COVID-19 vaccinations could start as soon as mid-December. It's expected that high-risk groups like healthcare workers, the elderly, and people with underlying medical conditions would get the vaccine first. It could be available to everyone else by spring. NewsTeam's Reed Ronachonsky has more information on how the Pfizer vaccine will be disseminated once it's deemed safe.
The Pfizer vaccine has officially tested as 90% effective. It is set to roll out hopefully by the end of 2020. With COVID cases increasing at an alarming rate, it's the perfect time. But what is the rollout and what will it look like? Step 1 is FDA approval. The FDA still needs to approve the Pfizer vaccine. By the end of November, the final safety test will end. If it is still deemed safe and effective, it will ask for emergency approval. The vaccine uses new techniques involving messenger RNA. No vaccine has been approved using this technique by the FDA. Step 2 is making the doses. Millions of doses are needed. They need to be stored at negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit, which is an average day in the middle of winter on the South Pole. The final step is transportation and distribution. Transporting such a sensitive vaccine needs infrastructure. 100,000 coolers will be made by the end of the month for transportation and storage. The biggest decision in this step is who needs the vaccine the most and how will they get it to them. Once all these holes are jumped through, millions can be vaccinated, hopefully bringing an end to COVID-19.
With fall semester coming to an end, some students are preparing to graduate and find jobs of their own. NewsTeam's Courtney Aiken connected with CU seniors and graduates to hear about their experiences with the job market.
In the midst of a global pandemic, 2 words ring true to all of us. What's next? College seniors like Nadia Spahn are weighing their options.
So it's been hard with my classes, and it's hard trying to think about grad school and is it really going to be worth it? Am I going to be able to get a job?
Luckily, Spawn has until May to figure it out, but another senior, James Wilson, is graduating in less than a month.
I don't have a job yet for after school, so hopefully something comes up. I'll start applying here soon.
Preferably sooner than later. Statistics show that more than half of college seniors who found full-time jobs began their search over 2 months prior to graduation. But nothing is set in stone, even for those with jobs.
You know, after the pandemic hit, I didn't have to run to the job boards and I didn't feel desperate like I knew some of my friends were feeling after graduation, so.
Prior to graduating from CU in May, Carly Cadu was hired by Seed Ranch, a local hot sauce company.
Definitely feel like I'm one of the lucky ones, even though I don't feel very solid in my career right now.
In fact, Cadu found herself struggling to make ends meet until recently.
Was floating for a bit, and then I kind of talked my boss into giving me enough to do for a full-time position for now, but it's still by no means like a solid thing, especially past the holidays.
Cadu hopes to find a more stable position, but even undergraduates know that those are few and far between.
And especially now, it seems like there's less jobs that I could even apply for, much less get.
While it isn't uncommon to conduct a job search online, recent college graduates are now having to take the extra step of interviewing for jobs using Zoom. This can make it extremely hard to make a good first impression, especially when the amount of employers hiring right now is very limited.
Like, companies are like firing, not hiring, is how I think of it.
Until the market improves, Cadu's position at Seed Ranch is keeping her busy.
My day-to-day tasks include managing social media, doing design works, and doing some sales outreach. We all work in the warehouse, so like shipping and handling is all us, customer service is all us. Definitely the kind of company where you just wear all of the hats.
Hats she wasn't exactly planning on wearing.
Could be worse, but yeah, definitely not what I had planned after graduation.
She's staying positive that all of her work for Seed Ranch will pay off.
I mean, a lot of companies are figuring out how to add roles that are more flexible and remote anyways.
Colorado is one of the most active states in terms of hiring, with thousands of positions available online.
So I'm hopeful, I guess, for the new year.
Things may seem bleak, but unemployment rates for college graduates are actually lower than in previous years. With any luck, next year will be even better.
Hopefully.
Courtney Aitken, NewsTeam Boulder.
Thank you, Courtney. CU students can use resources such as Handshake and LinkedIn to connect with employers and apply for jobs and internships. The job market may not be ideal, but there is employment for those who will put in the time and effort to find it. Now get ready for liftoff. Up next, an aerospace story that's out of this world and how drug companies are being held accountable for the opioid epidemic. Stay tuned.
He seemed fine to me.
I thought he would just sleep it off.
I didn't think he was that bad.
I had no idea he was taking prescription drugs.
He only drank as much as me.
I was fine.
We didn't want to get in trouble.
I thought this kind of thing happened all the time.
I thought someone else was taking care of him. If I would have called.
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 If I would have just called.
I'd still be alive.
Welcome back. It's not rocket science, or is it? The first operational space mission that lifted off from American soil since 2011 happened over the weekend. NASA sent 4 astronauts to the International Space Station aboard a SpaceX rocket on Sunday. The Dragon spacecraft launched from Florida's Kennedy Space Center, and it arrived at the ISS late Monday night. 3 astronauts from NASA and 1 from the Japanese Space Agency were in the Dragon capsule. Its safe docking marks the end of the first leg of a landmark mission for NASA and SpaceX. Crew 1 will be on board the ISS for 6 months before another group of astronauts joins them in the spring. Back on Earth, 3 major drug distributors and a drug manufacturer are closing in on a $26 billion settlement. These companies pleaded guilty to federal charges while state and local governments still demand justice. NewsTeam's Christina Robin has more.
It sneaks up on you. Next thing you know, you can't breathe, and you're lying in a hospital bed or dead. The culprit isn't a person, it's
opioids.
A facilitator for Boulder County's Substance Advisory Group found doctors prescribing her daughter with what she now fights against.
And we realized it was too late. She was an IV needle user. She was in the depths of it, and it almost destroyed our family.
Trina's daughter needed a way to cope with the chronic pain she experienced from Lyme disease before taking opioids.
She couldn't do her sports anymore. She had to drop out of all her social circles because she was sick all the time.
But 4 years later,
we had to face the fact that we would probably lose her.
The CDC reports more than 160,000 opioid-related deaths from overdose between 1990 and 2014. And now, pharmaceutical companies are paying the price in the largest federal court case in history.
A lot of them did give kickbacks to doctors.
And Harvard researchers show an alarming study that opioid manufacturers paid hundreds of doctors a six-figure sum.
So these pharmaceutical companies really misrepresented the safety of their product and the efficacy of the product.
The Department of Justice approved a settlement late Tuesday night, requiring Purdue Pharma to pay back billions of dollars for violating anti-kickback laws. The Sackler family, who owns Purdue Pharma, pocketed over $10 billion, and now they'll plead guilty to 3 felony counts for decades of marketing and distribution of OxyContin as well as other addictive opioids. Claims against the companies say that the drugs were overprescribed, leading to substance abuse. In 2018, the Colorado legislature passed a law to curb prescriptions.
I don't think we're seeing a change yet in numbers of overdose deaths, in numbers of overdose hospitalizations, and that's really what we measure it on.
The advisory board focuses on educational programs that destigmatize substance abuse.
What I have found is that being a peer recovery coach really helped my recovery.
But Trina isn't alone. Her daughter is fully recovered and accompanies her mother as a certified addiction counselor.
It's a very difficult disease to deal with, but there is hope.
Pharmaceutical companies will continue to pay out as settlements gain approval. This money will be used to help people like Trina's daughter start fresh. Christina Robin, NewsTeam Boulder.
Now we have some good news for you today. Boulder County's largest fire ever recorded is finally 100% contained. The Cowwood fire scorched over 10,000 acres beginning on October 17th. Despite high winds in the past few days, the fire did not show any signs of smoke or heat, and firefighters will closely continue to monitor the area by performing daily fire checks. Here in Colorado, if we don't like the weather, we wait 5 minutes. Stick around to find out if we should be skiing or sunbathing this week.
Navigating careers can feel like a chain of roadblocks and wrong turns. As a job seeker, you want more than a paycheck. As an employer, you want the right talent. If you're looking to discover your unique path to success, Talent Found can help you get there. Whether you're a student exploring career pathways, a job seeker looking to change direction, or an employer working to build a stronger team, Talent Found empowers Coloradans on your employment adventure. Visit talentfound.org.
Welcome back to NewsTeam Boulder on this Tuesday morning, November 17th. We'll kick off your forecast a little further away from home today as we take a look at footage from Hurricane Iota. This footage here is from Puerto Cabezas in Nicaragua, where the storm made landfall just last night. You can see even in this footage, this person is actually having trouble holding the camera still. Winds are blowing those palm trees nearly horizontal, and we have some pretty decent flooding coming in there too. Taking a look now at our satellite image of the Atlantic here, Hurricane Iota actually made landfall only a couple of miles away from Hurricane Eta, where that made landfall last week. Now, upon landfall, Iota was a Category 4 storm with peak winds at 155 miles per hour. Iota continues the trend of breaking records this season as the 30th named storm this year and the 9th storm named using the Greek alphabet. Into the next couple of days, we expect Iota to weaken as it draws closer to places like Honduras, El Salvador, and this is of course due to the land taking away its source of warm water fuel. Speaking of which, keep an eye on the Atlantic these next several days because we could see yet another tropical storm developing out in this area. We're looking at sea surface temperatures somewhere between 70 and 80 degrees, which is of course right in range to fuel the beginnings of another tropical storm. So we'll let you know what that looks like in the next few days. Now on a more local level, Boulder today looking mostly clear, blue skies and sun will get up to almost 70 degrees with light winds out of the west. You can look for a few more clouds rolling in this evening as we cool down to about 45 degrees. Those winds will kick up tonight as well, looking at gusts just over 20 miles an hour. So what kind of air is that wind carrying? Well, the air quality in Boulder today and actually for the past week or so has been overwhelmingly positive. We're sitting at an 8 AQI, air quality index today, which is pretty close to 0, meaning we have some nice healthy air here on the Front Range. Fortunately, we're not the only ones in the green here, as the state as a whole is actually looking overwhelmingly positive in terms of air quality. And this is for a few reasons, one being that the Calwood fire is finally 100% contained. And additionally, the cooler fall temperatures certainly don't hurt. Now, at the national level, healthy air also seems to be the theme here, with the exception of a few yellow areas. And as you can see, these are primarily in big cities, places like Las Vegas, Houston, and Phoenix, of course, all experience more commercial air pollution than rural areas, which can lead to some air that's more on the slightly unhealthy side for certain groups. Taking a look now at your national forecast, a few different cold fronts unfolding across the nation this morning. Miami and the surrounding area here right on the cusp of this cold front, getting some heavy rain. Further north, check out this huge low pressure system right on the line with a cold front, bringing mixed precipitation to much of the northeast, places like Vermont, New York, Pennsylvania, even parts of Ohio and Michigan. Now we can follow this cold front nearly halfway across the nation before it cuts off. Here in Colorado, we have a high pressure giving us those clear skies we're seeing today. And all along the west coast, yet another cold front is bringing lots of rain. Moving inland, we see mixed precipitation, so rain and snow, and that will reach Colorado by Saturday. And this is actually great news because, as you can see, our nation is actually under a pretty severe drought. The southern part of the nation is doing okay, thanks to the active hurricane season we've had this year, but the western part of the U.S. can't seem to catch a break. So zooming in on Colorado, we are quite literally seeing red. Unfortunately, we do have a pretty considerable amount of the state covered in this deep red area, which indicates severe drought. Now, the rest of the state spans anywhere from moderate to extreme drought. So let's talk about temperature. Today, once again, we have this pretty clear split right down the middle of our state. East of I-25 is warmer, while the western mountain region is considerably more chilly. Going into tomorrow, slight warm up on the eastern plains. Some areas will see high as 80 degrees, which is nearly record breaking for the month of November. 70 with clear skies here in Boulder, and anywhere from 30 to 60 degrees in the mountains. Now Thursday, down a few degrees in Boulder, low 60s. The plains will cool down as well. And bear with me here because we're about to see a pretty dramatic cool down. Friday, you can see cooler air masses starting to arrive from the northwest. Even the eastern part of the state is cooling down. Now look at this, 51 in Boulder. Right next door near Longmont, we're seeing 22. And keep in mind, that's the high temperature for Friday. Now Saturday, check this out. This is when that mixed precipitation, so snow and rain, is going to hit us. We'll see a major cool down across the entire state. Boulder and Denver area won't see anything above 41 degrees. So we could even see some ice and snow accumulation this weekend. So to recap, let's take you through a quick 4-day outlook. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 70. The sun will stick around Thursday and Friday as temperatures slowly drop. Then Saturday, we'll see the winter temperatures arrive with rain and snow and a high of 41. Now again, tomorrow in Boulder, we're looking at a high of 70 degrees, breezes and sun. Now for mid-November, that's a pretty nice day, so be sure to get out there and enjoy it before it gets chilly this weekend. When we come back, Kylie Westhoff with an unexpected update on Colorado football. Stay with us.
Not being aware of your surroundings. Not seeing what's right in front of you.
Take my photo off the wall if it
putting your life at risk.
For you.
Is it worth it?
'Cause all that's left is gone away and there's
texting and walking. It's just not worth it.
And we're back, but the Buffs are not. After a late start to the season, the Buffs lose something they will never get back: time on the field. And time is of the essence as January's college football playoff draws closer and closer. The Pac-12 canceled Saturday night's matchup against Arizona State, and ESPN is reporting that ASU's head coach Herm Edwards and most of their players have tested positive for COVID-19. Now, CU Athletic Director Rick George is working with the Pac-12 to find a replacement for the Sun Devils. In other sports news, Dustin Johnson shot a record under 20 par to win the 2020 Masters. The previous Masters champion Tiger Woods had a disappointing Sunday, carding his first ever 10 on a hole. The win gives Johnson his first Masters and his second major championship win. The South Carolina native grew up just over an hour away from the Augusta National Golf Club, and legend has it Johnson would often be the last one on the course. Hey you, take a hike. No, seriously, you should get out there and hit the trails because today is National Take a Hike Day. Hiking is great exercise that can burn up to 550 calories an hour, and there are more than 60,000 trails in the U.S. National Trail System. Some of them are as old as 200 years and track the footsteps of explorers like Lewis and Clark. There are even more trails in the U.S. when you consider those in local and state parks. One that's local to us is our very own Chautauqua Park, home to the famous Flatirons. Chautauqua Park was founded on July 4th, 1898, and it is one of 25 National Historic Landmarks in the state of Colorado. And the gorgeous view is one of the things that makes Boulder so special. So be sure to get outside and take advantage of Colorado's perks. And with that, this will bring us to the end of this season of News Team. So thank you so much for joining us this season. It's a pleasure to share these moments with you. Thank you for taking this wild ride with us. I'm Kylie Westhoff. Stay safe, stay well, and Go Buffs.